Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to Gamerjoob, and welcome back to a Poppy Playtime character concept series. So the character we've created for today's video is Shy Shelby. So we'll go into this character's backstory, gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. Before you do any of that, do be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Gamerjoob, as it helps a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you updated with the videos that we post. Alrighty, well with that all out of the way, let's get into the character concept of Shy Shelby. So, previously in our Poppy Playtime character concept series, we've been looking into the toy characters of the Forgotten Critters. These toys are a whole bunch of concept design smiling critters that never made the cut. And the last character we met was Bull Bullino. This deranged toy bull is set on converting all the smiling critters into mechanical monstrosities. After his tragic battle with Catnap, he was critically injured and it was almost over for him. But in his last moments, the prototype rebuilt him and gave him a second chance. Now, Bull Bullino will stop at nothing to give this mechanical power to all the smiling critters. But recently, the player had bested Bully and trapped him under a hydraulic press. But in the end, he was able to free himself and continue his wicked plan. But now, we come to the next Forgotten Critter character, and this character is Shy Shelby. So, Shy Shelby is a cute and cuddly turtle smiling critter, and hence the name is quite shy. Shy Shelby. Sometimes it isn't very easy to come out of your shell, but it's okay to be nervous. All of Shelby's friends comfort her and let her know everything's okay. Although Shelby is scared of a lot of things, she'll never be afraid with her friends by her side. Scent Seabreeze. So Shy Shelby was another concept smiling critter that was in the running to replace Catnap. But sadly, poor Shelby wasn't too popular with all the test groups. It seems that the idea for a shy and fearful character just wasn't that exciting or appealing. So Playtime Co. decided to scrap the character and place her in the rejected toy storage area. Eventually the factory needed more space and they moved Shelby down to the depths to be forgotten forever. Being all alone in the darkness was the last thing that Shelby needed. She was terrified of everything that was down there. Every little sound she heard would send her back inside her shell. Being afraid all the time eventually turned her mad. Enough time had passed that she eventually became just as scary looking as the things she was afraid of. Shelby also grew more and more brave, so brave that she would eliminate anything that had the potential to scare her. But it doesn't mean she still wasn't afraid. Any loud noises would quickly send her back inside her shell. But once she realised what that thing was, she would destroy it so it wouldn't scare her ever again. And unfortunately for the player, Shy Shelby wouldn't hesitate to destroy them as well. Speaking of the player, they now find themselves in a new area of the Dark Forgotten Depths. This place seems to be an old abandoned delivery centre. This would be where they would package all the products and send them out, but there doesn't seem to be any boxes or packages around. Maybe this place has gotten cleared out a while ago. Regardless, the player needs to continue their journey back to the surface. They locate the exit, but there's one small problem. The exit is locked with a big weight scale. This must have been a cruel way to keep the employees working extra hard. They wouldn't be able to leave the delivery centre until they made their quota. And then, and only then, will the door unlock and open. So the player needs to look for a bunch of boxes to stack on the scale to open the door. But like they just realised, there aren't any boxes around this area. The player would need to use something else instead. As they search around this area, they come across something quite strange. It looks like a turtle shell. In fact, there were multiple turtle shells scattered throughout this area. They seem heavy enough to tip the scale and would work perfectly. So the player would have to drag each of the shells back to the scale one by one. They would then place them on the scale and they would be a little bit closer to getting out of here shell by shell. Eventually the player rounds up all the shells and places them on the scale. But it's still not enough to unlock the door. They would need something much larger and heavier to tip these scales. So they head back out and see what they can find. And that's when they see it. This shell was much larger than all the others. This large shell would be more than enough to finally unlock the door. The player approaches it and realizes that this shell is occupied. Standing in front of them was the twisted, crazed version of Shy Shelby. What on earth has happened to her? Her body has overgrown and hunched over, her hands have now turned to claws, and her face is a terrifying sight to behold. Shy Shelby approaches the player slowly. She has that look in her eye that tells the player they are in grave danger. In a sudden panic, the player accidentally launches their GrabPack. It flies past Shelby and knocks a metal pipe off a nearby shelf. The pipe falls to the ground with a loud crash. The sudden noise quickly sends Shelby back into her shell. It seems that she's afraid of loud sounds. With Shelby back in her shell, the player starts dragging her back to the scales. They didn't have a choice. It was the only way they were getting out of here. But before they know it, Shelby emerges from her shell once again. The player has to quickly make a loud noise again, or else it'll be the end of them. Luckily, they find another shelf filled with junk. They quickly knock it over, and once again, Shelby retreats back inside her shell. The player was almost there, only a few more meters to go. But Shelby keeps emerging out of her shell and trying to attack the player. They need to find a long-term solution to keep her in her shell. After some quick thinking, the player has got an idea. What if they had a consistent loop of loud noises? What if they could keep Shelby inside her shell for good? Well, the player's plan is to activate the alarm system. Hopefully that would be loud enough to work. So the player lets go of the shell for the time being and sets out to find the alarm system. While searching around, they would need to be careful, because Shelby would have come back out of their shell by now, and she'll be roaming around this area searching for the player. Eventually the player finds the alarm system control panel. They need to press the right buttons in succession in order to activate it. As they reach the last button, they see that Shelby is right behind them. They turn around and face this mad turtle. Just before she attacks, the player presses the final button. The loud alarm system goes off and frightens Shelby. She quickly slinks back into her shell and will stay there as long as the alarm is going off. The player can finally drag her shell all the way back to the exit. They load on her large shell and the door opens up. Finally, the player can get out of here. But as soon as the door opens up, they notice the alarm system has stopped as well. And right behind them is Shelby, who is out of their shell once again. The player rushes through the exit and makes a break for it. Shy Shelby rushes after them and the chase is now on. The player quickly needs to find a place to hide and get away from Shelby. She'd be close behind them and will attack the player if they don't hurry up. Finally, the player finds an air vent and rushes through. Finally, they are safe from Shy Shelby. There was no way she was going to fit in this air vent with that large shell of hers. So the player says goodbye to Shelby and moves on. As they crawl through the vent, the player wonders what other horrible forgotten critters they'll see next. As to who that'll be, they'll just have to wait and see. So I think that Shy Shelby would be a great addition to the Forgotten Critters roster of characters. I think that a turtle character would definitely fit in and be pretty cool to see. I think she could add some interesting gameplay elements and keep the player on their toes, that's for sure. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing, so it's a lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Shy Shelby and what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well, to our next character concept video, I'll catch you later, bye.